Hi guys, so this video is about two things. One is whether or not NAC kills your role, and two is our first boofing, plugging, rectal drug administration experience. The short answer to the NAC question is yes, it kind of does or can, depending on how you do it. It very much does the opposite if you do it correctly, but if you do it wrong, then yeah, it definitely seems to be able to completely kill your role. So I'll get into that. So basically, at the weekend we did 5 MAPB and 4 HOMET. It's a combination we like to do quite a lot. It's like a kind of MDMA substitute, I guess. And it's probably not as quite as good as MDMA, although when you get it right, it's pretty cool because you can control the extent to which it's psychedelic and the extent to which it's euphoric or whatever. You can get extremely tired on 5-MePB. That's the only problem. It's quite sedating, so you have to like have stimulants or caffeine. We kind of avoid the stimulants because of past stimulant abuse, and so we go for a lot of caffeine. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely it's a really good combo. We don't really do stuff like this ever anymore. We do it like probably every 6 months or something. But yeah, we decided to this weekend that's just passed, and yeah, basically, leading up to it, we'd been taking the NAC most days for a few weeks, and we've done this before. These sort of, they call it an NAC cleanse or whatever. I don't really know if that's the right word, but basically, yeah, taking NAC for a few weeks before taking empathogens most of the time. I think it's just really for empathogens. I don't really think there's other substances people would do this for. And we've done this before with great success. Like it really sort of brings back the magic, as people call it, and seems to massively reduce the after effects. However, this time around, I forgot that you're supposed to stop at least a few days beforehand. A lot of people say to stop a week or so beforehand, but people say definitely a minimum, absolute minimum really of 48 hours. There are people who say they took them on the same day, or they took it the day before or whatever and everything was fine. But most people say, yeah, you should definitely wait like 48, 72 hours or more. So I completely forgot that. And the day before we took NAC, the day before we were planning to have this sesh. And the problem was, or is, that we don't really, there's no other real window of time where we could do this. We haven't done it in ages. We've got a lot of quite stressful stuff coming up soon, and it's very busy, and a lot of sort of stuff, sort of bad vibes, to be honest, going on in our lives at the moment. Whereas the stuff that's going to be happening soon, where it won't be an appropriate time to be doing stuff like this. So we kind of thought we should probably just go ahead with it anyway, and just do it and see how we get on, because yeah, we don't really have the luxury of sort of doing it next weekend or whatever. So we went ahead with it, knowing that probably it wouldn't work that well. Anyway, concurrently, we had decided to try boofing or plugging or rectal administration for the first time. We've never tried this before. Actually, yeah, there was a period years ago where we got really addicted to phenibut for a short time, but very intensely addicted for a very short time, for a few months. And I did put some up my arse then. I remember. I barely remember it. I don't remember how it went. I don't remember much else about doing it. I just remember there was a Vampire Weekend song on, and I remember being on the bed in the apartment we lived in at the time. I remember putting the fucking syringe in my ass and squirting it up there because we weren't getting high anymore from it. And I mean, you don't really get that high from phenibut anyway. But we were so desperate to get our fix that we thought maybe putting it up our asses would help. And yeah, horrid stuff. I would never ever touch phenibut again, that's for sure. It's not even worth it, because if you're going to get that addicted and you're going to screw your brain with something like that and your GABA receptors, you might as well take something that's more powerful and actually gives you a high, because I don't really think phenibut gives you much of it. You have to take so much to feel like, oh yeah, I feel kind of nice, I feel a buzz, I feel a bit relaxed. Whereas other stuff like GHB, you take a little bit and you feel fucked, you know, and you actually are kind of inebriated in a recreational way. But Phenibut, it's more like you lose a lot and you gain very little, in my opinion. Yeah, we got very badly hooked on it. And think of everything we've done, I feel like that caused the most sort of medium to long term damage. But anyway, that's a whole separate issue. I did one time try boofing. But other stuff, yeah, I've always found it really weird. People put pills up their ass and stuff, and I've never really understood that and whatever. But anyway, we decided to do this because my girlfriend, every time in the last few years we've done a sesh, she's got like more and more nauseous the week following it. I had this before, like years ago when we got into doing MDMA and GHB, which I wouldn't recommend. It's like too powerful of a combo. I think really, it's certainly not something I do now because it's just I think there's too much going on there chemically. To be honest, like we used to feel wrecked after that. But when we got into that, after every time we did it for a week or so afterwards, like every time we ate food, we would feel incredibly sick, and it would last about a week, like really really bad nausea. And yeah, I don't really have that anymore, but she does, and I think it might be maybe to do with smoking. I don't know, because she doesn't smoke, but then whenever we do a sesh, like she wants to smoke loads of cigarettes. I always think, why bother really, you know, because we're already doing something unhealthy. But she always wants to smoke loads, and I think that might be what causes it, but I don't know, or part of it. But anyway, someone on Reddit said that they had the same problem, and it's to do with there's like serotonin receptors in your gut or whatever, and that boofing can circumnavigate this. So we decided to try it. I think one of the precautions with boofing, one of the things that's important is, sorry, I'm a bit slow by the way, I went for a huge run before this, I'm really tired, but one of the precautions is basically that whatever you're taking has to be clean, like lab tested, pure and clean, because it's not going through your liver, and so it doesn't have the filtration process that your liver would normally sort of put things through. So it's, if something is not pure, it's like worse to put it up your ass, basically. I don't know, I'm very obviously not a scientist. If I was a scientist, I wouldn't be saying put it up your ass. I'd be saying administering it rectally, probably. Anyway, what fuck was I saying? Yeah, so we decided to do this. The syringes we had to boof with were like, the ends were too long. They were like almost like hooks. They were like really long and thin, and obviously you don't want it like incredibly thick. Maybe you do, but that's, you know, your business. But you don't want it to be too thin either. You don't want it to be like a fucking needle, you know. And these were like, they were like, yeah, sort of like almost like hooks. There were these oral syringes. I think they're designed for like cleaning your cavities or whatever. So I cut the ends off them and like burned them a bit, and, you know, sort of melted them down a bit, try and make them a bit smoother. But they were still too thin. They weren't very comfortable to put in. They were like the thickness of like, they were thinner than a drinking straw. And you want them to be a little bit thicker than a drinking straw, I would say, basically. Like you want like a finger, or I keep saying finger. I keep pronouncing it like it's a TH. Finger. Like a finger. I'm developing a sort of neurotic like speech impediment around the th and f sounds. And I've recently become obsessed, like that I can't say th properly. Like think and thanks and thought. But most people just say think and thanks and thought, don't they? They don't really say thought. Like no one really actually says it properly. But I've developed this weird thing around it, and every time that the th sound is coming up in my head, I'm like, okay, th, here we go, think. And then now I'm saying thinger, like it's a fucking th word. It sounds idiotic. Anyway, yeah, a finger, I mean, depends really, you know. I've got little fucking baby fingers, so that's all right really, you know, if you're rectally naive. But whatever, anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, I wouldn't say I've had many things in my arse over the years. Never a penis. Look, couple of times out of curiosity, you know, girlfriend's been away, Might have bunged on some videos about certain stuff. Might have found a few household objects. Might have tried a couple times, to see what all the fuss was about. And might have experimented a little bit, but not much. I would say I'm fairly rectally naive. I'd say a handful of times throughout my entire life this has happened. So I'm not hugely experienced with things going in my arse, but certainly like a small syringe end is fine. Yeah, it's good. It feels, I would say, on the subject of that, putting things in your arse, it can feel really nice physically, but at what cost? Like there's just I hadn't done it for years, and I tried this again the other day. I was like, fuck it, she's away, fuck it. Let's bung a condom over the end of let's wrap a sock around a mallet handle and bung a condom over that. Give it a go for old time's sake. I hadn't done it for so long. I was doing it, and physically, it's actually, if you do it correctly, it's like can be incredibly nice. But you're just like, nah, I don't really. It's just not like why am I doing this? Obviously, if you're gay, yeah, go for it. But like otherwise, it's kind of like I can just have sex. Like I don't really need to, like, or just wank. Like what am I? It feels like why? There's a lot of kind of. It's like spending a lot of time trying to figure out how to do this and do all of this shit and go through the sort of degradation of it, the sort of vague humiliation that obviously no one is around to witness but me, but still I'm a bit like, do I want to see myself like this? Is this really who I am? Is this who I want to be? I've got some femdom telling me what to do. Is this who I want to be? Is this worth it just to feel a little bit of, to get a little endorphin rush, to feel a little bit of sort of vaguely orgasmic pleasure? I'm not sure. So yeah. Anyway, besides the point, obviously, so we went to do this, and yeah, it was a bit tricky with these syringes. We did like a half what we would normally take as an oral dose, because it hits you much quicker, much more intensely. People say generally you should take less, so we did. Got it in there, and yeah, it was really difficult actually mostly because of the kind of syringes we were using. It was like really difficult and just sort of awkward, and we didn't massively want to do it to each other. I mean, I didn't care. I was like, yeah, I'll just do yours if you want. She didn't really want to do mine, and I thought, well, if you don't want to do it, then I don't really want you to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if seeing me like that is going to be sort of like, sort of going to affect how you look at me, then I don't want you to do it. If she was like, yeah, I'll do yours, what's the big deal? I'd be like, cool, perfect, we'll do each other's. But when she was so hesitant to do it, I thought, well, I'm not going to push this. I'm not going to be like, put the fucking syringe in my ass. I'll be like, I'm going to bend over and spread my cheeks and you're going to do this. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll fucking do it myself. I don't need you. Go fuck yourself. So I sat over the B-day and tried to do this. And it was hard to tell if it was in. The first one worked all right. Then later on we went to top up, and I did another one, and it clearly wasn't in my arse. I was just like pushing it against my, like, the outside of my hole. So I felt it like drip down my arse cheeks afterwards. I was like, oh great, I've just fucking dribbled like fucking 50 mg down my crack, basically, because of these crappy syringes. And yeah, that was annoying. You need one that's long enough and thick enough where, yeah, it's in there, basically. These ones, it was like, maybe that's like in my arse, or maybe it's like pushing into here, and it's kind of, whatever. So that happened. Yeah, I mean, the impression I got, basically, because we ended up later that night, like, sniffing quite a lot as well, because obviously that's a lot easier, and just, we know that works. We ended up sniffing quite a lot. The impression I got was actually that the boofing did work very well. It's just the NAC killed our high, basically. The reason I say that is because we felt almost all of the normal symptoms of like coming up quite hard. It just never really happened. It was almost like everything but that happened. Everything apart from the really nice, really comforting sort of euphoric buzz happened. All the other sort of side effects and symptoms, and it felt like we kind of had a lot of it in us. And yeah, we didn't really trip either. We didn't really barely had any visuals from the 4-HOMET, and yeah, so it was all right. We felt it a bit, that kind of thing where you go, yeah, I feel all right. That's not really what you don't really take all these substances just to go, yeah, I feel all right. But that was basically the extent of it. Was we kind of, yeah, we could feel it. We felt it coming on. We thought, oh yeah, I'm feeling this now, and it just never really went beyond that. Um, didn't didn't sort of get crazy visuals. Didn't also feel bad. I mean, not often it's quite a tricky combo because you can often feel very anxious from the 4-HOMET, and but before you feel the 5-MePB because it takes a really long time to kick in. Didn't have that problem. That's another appeal of boofing, is it kicks in quicker, because when you take it orally, it takes so long, man. I find sometimes it takes almost like 2 hours to reach a good level with it. So yeah, we ended up sniffing quite a bit of it. It was okay. Like it was all right. We had an okay time, but at times, yeah, it didn't feel that great. And you're sort of waiting for it. It's never really happening. And then we kind of knew, like, yeah, it's kind of a waste of time. And we ended up, we still had a good night, but we had a good night because we just had a good night. It wasn't a chemical thing. It wasn't because of the drugs, basically, that we had a good night. And in a way, that was quite a good experience. It was quite like positive. Um, like it was quite positive to have to sort of, in the past, like when we were really fucked up, like, and life was really bad and we were addicts, if the drugs didn't work, we didn't have a good night. It was impossible. We were completely dependent on the feeling that the drugs gave us to have a good time, and that was the only source of happiness in our lives during certain periods, during particularly bad periods. And it's nice, yeah, now as adults to sort of go, all right, well, we'll just have a good night anyway, even if it's not really working. Um, yeah, we had sex later on that night, and it was like one of the best times ever. It was unbelievable, like amazing. I don't think again that was related to the NAC or the drugs or anything in particular, really. Partially the drugs, but like, yeah, not. I don't think that was specific to the NAC aspect, but it was pretty crazy, like really pretty crazy. What it might have been was that the NAC prevented us actually from like really coming up, because I find like if you're like I don't understand people who say they have sex when they're like the peak of like an MDMA high or something. Like I just, again, it's like too many chemicals going on at once. I can't really imagine that. It sounds really insane to me. It's like sort of conflicting chemical experiences. Um, I so I don't know. Yeah, I've never understood that. So maybe that was part of it, was that the NAC sort of kept like a cap on things, so it was kind of easier to like have sex, and it wasn't there weren't too many conflicting things going on at once. I don't know, but that was, yeah, it was crazy. Um, and in general, a good night. Yeah, I mean, like we just pissed around really and just had fun and did stuff, and it wasn't anything chemically exciting at all from the drugs. Definitely keen to try the boofing thing again, and um, I actually felt it was quite, in spite of everything, it was like quite promising, and I feel quite keen to do it again, because this week, and again we don't know why exactly, but this week, zero nausea pretty much, like almost none, no come down really. I mean, I never really do anymore because I always take NAC the following week. Never feel bad the week after. I feel good actually. Like there were a couple of moments this week where I felt a bit shit, but I think that was partially because uh, the night before last we didn't sleep at all, because, well, I didn't sleep because I think I'd taken so many supplements. I like really needed a piss in the night, and I just was, I don't know, it was a weird sleep. And then the fucking lift repairman was ringing the buzzer at like 7:55, and we were trying to sleep in and catch up on our sleep. This guy's ringing the buzzer at 7:55. I heard it and I was like, nah, that must have been a dream. And then like fell back to sleep, and then like 10 minutes later he rang it again. I was like, what do you fucking want, man? Like it's fucking 8 a.m. You know. Um, Crazy to be ringing our buzzer. It's not even. It wasn't ringing it to speak to us. He was ringing it just to be like, "Oh, I'm the lift repairman here to do the building." And it's like, yeah, I don't care, man. I don't ring our buzzer at 8 a.m. So we woke up to that. That was really annoying after already having a shitty sleep. That day felt kind of crap. But apart from that, I feel good. I feel a bit slow, I would say. Maybe a little bit slow. But yeah, not depressed, not bad. Generally feel quite optimistic and positive. And overall, in a weird way, it was kind of positive because, yeah, I know now not to do that with NAC. So I'll wait probably 4 or 5 days at least next time, maybe more, just to be on the safe side. Definitely try the boofing again. I'm kind of intrigued to see how that is under normal circumstances and normal conditions. And what else? Anything else happen? No, not really. We tried slapping ourselves. My girlfriend started being like, "Let's just slap each other. Let's just fucking wake ourselves up." We were so tired, and so as a joke, she was like, "Yeah, let's slap ourselves." I have to say, actually, like honestly, it felt really good. We just started like slapping each other, and then we were suddenly so energized. She was slapping the shit out of me. She slapped me incredibly hard. I didn't really want to do it to her, you know. She was really like pimp slapping me, and it was really energizing. And for I'd say about half an hour or so, I was like, "Shit, I'm actually kind of buzzing now. Like I feel full of energy suddenly and good." And then that kind of faded away again. I was like, "Yeah, no, I do feel a bit crap." And like, yeah, music didn't sound particularly great that night. It wasn't. So again, yeah, chemically, it wasn't a good buzz, but in general, two interesting takeaways from it. And what else? Yeah, that's all. So I'm fully sold on NAC for these purposes. I'm kind of considering trying a what do you call it? A Nexus flip? I don't know if it's a Nexus flip. Maybe it's a Nexus flip. No, I don't think it is a Nexus flip. I think there's another word for it. But basically, maybe it is, where you take MDMA and then when it's wearing off, you take 2CB. I've heard a lot about this, and it sounds weird. Yeah, you wait until it's wearing off and you take 2CB, and apparently you don't need to take any more MDMA. You just kind of, the 2CB just like continues your MDMA buzz. So I'm really intrigued, and I would quite like to try that at some point. I just can't really be asked to like try and find good MDMA, but yeah, that might be an interesting thing to do a video about as well. So maybe I'll try that combo at some point with the NAC leading up to it and afterwards. And otherwise, yeah, that's all good. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you're all well. Bye.